Hi there. What I've just been doing was a little bit of noodling around with thirds. Now, for those of you who don't understand what a third is, we normally, when we're looking at a scale of any particular key, in this case we're doing it in the key of C, we're counting them as numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 1, 2, 3. A 3 is a third above that bottom note. So if that's a C, which it is, a third above is an E. And if you play them together, you'll find that they harmonize quite nicely. And what I've done there is I've just moved each one up one note of the scale. So that's a C, that's a D with a third above, that's an E with a third above. Okay, and just that alone, if you were to be doing something like playing a C chord, sort of mess around with that a little bit, because that's standard thirds, that is. But what I want to do is to move the third, or not so much the third, but the first note, the C, above it. So instead of playing a C and then the third just 3 notes above the C, I want to put the C on the top. So that's a C up there, but keep the third, that one, okay? So then you get that sound. And it's a bit more separation between the notes. That's important, because it's a different sound from that. What we're going to do now, instead of using that open string there, I'll use that one, which on the 4th fret, which is the same as that. Okay, so I'm using that and the C on top, and I'm plucking 2 strings, those 2 strings each time. Okay, and then I'm going to move it up. Now you notice what I'm doing, that's on the 4th fret, though both of them are on the 5th fret there, those 2 strings, and then both on the 7th fret. And if I carried on down, it would be open strings there, so starting on the C on the top, I'm going to carry on down, but I've got to, now if I carry on down further than that, I've got to change strings. Instead of having those 2 strings, I'm now moving to these 2 strings. So I started there on those 2 strings. Then I'm going down, and then those 2. Okay? So, starting on the C on the top, C, then you're going down to a B, okay, so you've got your A on top, then you're going there, so instead of the A on top, you've got a G on top, then you carry on down again to an F on top, and then an E on top. Now I didn't continue because those are the last 2 notes of the scale, but it does work if you think about it. It goes. And I'd suggest you really sort of imprint that in your mind, the idea of going either up from that C or going down. Each time there's a separation of that third. And it's very useful to know this, because if you were moving within the key of C, if you're moving from a chord, say for example a C chord, and here I'm playing it with that one down. I don't have to, I could have just played an ordinary C, but for the sake of argument I'm doing it there so that we can see the position. Then I can move, say if I started on a C chord, and I'm going to move to a G chord, but in order to get there I'm going to put a little fill in, so I'm going to start off on a C, and I'll do it with a finger pattern here. Now what did I do there? Well, I just went for those two notes, then to the G. So all of that, like that. That's the sequence I did. So I start from. Now all I did there was I started off on that one, and then I ended up on an F chord. So I started on there to the F chord. And it still works quite nicely as a little sequence. Then I went up, back to C. So from F. So when I'm noodling around, I don't have to do each individual note in the scale as a passing. I can skip one. So instead of going from, I could skip one, just go. So that would be a nice one. Sorry. See what I did there? I went from the 7th fret to this, like that. And then it becomes again a sequence. You're going from a C chord essentially to a G chord. So, okay, I could have done the same going, just skipping one there again. Or, I've done that if I wanted to. So mess around with that a little bit. First time round, do it exactly as if you're playing the whole scale. So don't skip them at all. Then the next time round, when you get used to doing that, see if you can aim to miss one in between so that it gets a little bit more, there's a bit more of a leap of a note. And then after that, well, it's up to you. I mean, you just work it out yourself what sounds nice. And that's what we're doing really. We're, I mean, I'm filling in a bit here on the right hand, but all I was doing really was finding those double note, with a third separation. Well, playing the third, in other words, the root note plus the third, and then occasionally changing the chord. Now, any chord within the key of C is possible on this one. You don't have to have gone from C to G to F. You could have gone even to an E minor, which belongs in the C of key, in the key of C, C of key, what? In the key of C, an E minor or a D minor, or an A minor, so it would still work. I'll do that, I'll go to a D minor, for example. Okay, so I went from a C to a D minor, then back to a C. I could have done it for an A minor, for an E minor I should say. So I could have gone. So I went to an E minor, then to a D minor, and then back to a C. But the important thing is that you have this possibility of doing the little passing notes, just playing them in thirds. Okay, so have a play with that and see how you get on. Okay, bye.